I'm into starting small. One simple goal is you reach out to one person per week. And the more you practice, it'll get easier, I promise. And every time you feel that fear, remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite the fear. And networking is the long game. Every conversation is progress.
Welcome back to the Courage Corner, where we talk about the skills and mindset you need to build the career you want. I'm Luka, the editor turned interviewer, and today we're exploring something that can feel both exciting and terrifying: the hidden job market, also known as networking. Now, I'll be honest with you, every time I hear the word networking, my eyes glaze over as I envision a room full of strangers handing out business cards, resumes flying everywhere, while I awkwardly try to make small talk. So today, I'm asking Marcy Bullock, our podcast host and the Director of Professional Development for the College of Engineering, my college, to help us understand why networking matters, how it's actually about building real relationships, and how to find the courage to do it, even if you're shy, nervous, or just plain don't know where to start. Welcome back, Marcy.
Thanks, Luka. You're so right. It takes a lot of courage. It's about putting yourself out there, not really asking for a job directly, but really connecting with people that you like, you admire, or you trust. And think of it this way: you're creating a relationship where both sides can give and receive value.
It really is about courage. It's never an easy thing to do. And it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there like that and make real connections. Okay, our first question, Marcy. I've heard this phrase, the hidden job market. What does that actually mean, and why is networking such a big part of it?
Yeah, the hidden job market, it refers to all the opportunities that aren't publicly posted, so they're not advertised. And that's most jobs. Many roles are filled through referrals, recommendations, direct connections, even before they appear on any job board. So networking is your way to tap into that job market. And when you build relationships that are authentic, people think of you when they hear the opening is coming up. And it works both ways. You'll be in the position to help them too. It's not about schmoozing. It's about genuinely being curious and generous with another person.
I think I heard you mention authentic relationships, and I love that term. But a lot of people, me included, feel awkward about reaching out because it feels like we're just asking for something. How do you reframe it so it feels less selfish?
It's a really common fear, Luka. The courage here comes from shifting your mindset. So here's what a lot of people think, and you just phrase that yourself. I'm bothering them. I'm offering them a chance to share their expertise is a different way to think of it. So I'm not really bothering them, but most people love talking about their work and giving advice, especially if you've done your homework and you're specific about why you have reached out. So I always give this example of a lemonade stand. You see these young kids so excited about sharing the lemonade, and they want you to come buy some. And most often we stop and get some lemonade, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it might not even be that we're thirsty, but it's because they're so enthusiastic about it. You want to have that same enthusiasm. And remember, networking is reciprocal. So you might actually be able to give something back to them too, like sending them an article, recommending a resource that they might enjoy, and introducing them to someone in your circle. So giving back to them also builds trust. So it's not all one way.
And I think we can all relate to loving talking about our own professions and things that we're interested in and making connections with new people. But where do I do that? How do I find these new people to add to my network?
Well, you actually know a lot of people. If you think about it, just make a list of your friends, your family, your neighbors, your professors, maybe a former coworker, someone you met at an event. I mean, it could be even your dentist. You'd be surprised how far these connections can reach. And then expand to people you'd like to know. So it could be alumni from NC State University. It could be professionals on LinkedIn or people whose work you really admire. And we can link up to this networking tracker tool that will help you prioritize those contacts and keep track of who you've reached out to.
Networking really can come from anywhere, and we've seen a lot during this podcast that new opportunities and new life paths show up out of the blue, and maybe you find something that you didn't know existed before. I know my mom always talks about how she would talk about all the other moms at schools and college and find even new jobs or opportunities through there. So it really can come from anywhere.
Yeah, moms have some good advice. It's important to listen to them.
But courage-wise, the scariest thing for me is actually starting that conversation. What are some tips that can help with that?
So just be genuine. If you are honest and authentic and be yourself, mention something specific you admire, maybe about something they worked on or an article they wrote or a role they've had, compliment them, and then ask a question that shows that you've taken the time to research them. So here's a little example. I saw you recently led a project on sustainable packaging, which is something I'm passionate about. So that part is you did your research, you know what they're doing, and you're tying it to who you are. Would you be open to a 15-minute virtual coffee so I can learn something about your career path? That's really specific. It tells them what you want, how much time they need to give, and then it helps them to get back to you with a good time.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of networking is doing your homework and being genuine to who you are. Once I actually get the meeting, though, how do I avoid turning it into a please hire me situation?
So this is where a method comes in that we use in our workshops called Tiara. And the T stands for trends, the I stands for insights, the A stands for advice, the R stands for resources, and the A stands for assignments. So in this method, you will learn a little bit about their industry trends, which is the trends part. You'll learn about their personal insights, which is the I part. You'll seek out their advice. That's the A part. And then you'll learn more about what they suggest you do later, a resource. Maybe they tell you to listen to a certain podcast. And finally, you get a chance to think about what homework you need to do or an assignment. That's the A part at the end. And follow up with something specific like make this edit to your resume and get back to me. So you're not there to ask for the job. Remember, you're there to learn. You're there to build rapport, build a relationship, and keep the conversation going. And that's how trust forms. And often that trust leads to opportunities down the line. So you really just have to be patient.
As an engineer, I can always appreciate and love when you can break down something as complicated as networking to something as simple as small actionable steps that you can take during a conversation. But let's say the person I'm talking to doesn't seem interested, or maybe the conversation doesn't go anywhere. How do I deal with rejection or uninterest from the person I'm talking to?
Yeah, it's never any fun when someone rejects you or they tell you no, they don't have time to talk to you. And that's where the courage part comes in, honestly, Luka, because it's not a 100% hit rate. It's just about your consistent effort. So just remember, there will be some people who won't respond. Like, for example, if I'm driving on Hillsborough Street and I get to Blue Ridge Road and there's a stoplight and I roll my window down to the person next to me and I go, "Can you give me directions?" And they say, "Well, where are you trying to go?" And you say, "I don't know." They can't help you. So remember that you have to be specific. You have to be polite. You have to be strategic and genuine with your curiosity. And you'll find that those willing to connect and give you those directions are out there, and they can open some big doors for you.
Now, that's a lot to remember, Marcy, and those are a lot of big things that come up when you're trying to network. How do I actually take that step to talk with people instead of overthinking everything and becoming a bundle of nerves?
I'm into starting small. Reach out to someone safe. Just start with a classmate or a professor that you feel connected to, that you think is friendly, and just get comfortable with it. You can use a template so you're not starting from scratch each time when you send an email out. And with one simple goal is you reach out to one person per week. And the more you practice, it'll get easier, I promise. And every time you feel that fear, remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite the fear. And networking is the long game. Every conversation is progress.
Well, thank you, Marcy. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about reframing as a form of self-care, and I really appreciate how you've reframed networking for us today as a generous relationship building process instead of a transaction or a way of asking to get hired. I think a lot of us needed to hear that courage doesn't mean being fearless. It means showing up, asking questions, and being willing to connect, even if it feels uncomfortable. To everyone listening, here's your challenge. Pick one person this week to reach out to. Not to ask for a job, but to learn from them. Who knows? That one conversation might be your entry point into the hidden job market. This has been the Courage Corner. Keep showing up, keep asking, and keep building those connections.